All right, we are live, and everybody, thank you for waiting half an hour, but I know many of you watch the replay anyway, but I was in an intense interview live, so there it is.
That's
It's
right.
great.
And it's below, by the way, if you want to watch it. They streamed it live on YouTube, but now it's just up on YouTube. So the link is like 2 posts below this one. Okay, everybody. So happy Monday, happy beginning to the week. And I have some questions for Sophie today. This is a selfish call. I have a goal in mind. So join me on this adventure because I need Sophie's wisdom. And I have a feeling some of you might like to join me on this one. So today's call is about anxiety. I went this weekend to the coast with my dog by myself, and I had a big adventure. And some of it was so fun. Like I had a great time feeling independent and finding new beaches and hiking and staying somewhere by ourselves. And I also experienced a lot of anxiety. There were moments of fear where I felt afraid that something was going on, but there were moments where I could feel myself just churning in anxiousness about the dog. There were fireworks. He was scared. I was scared for him. And I noticed a lot of repetitive and circular thinking that altered my body. My body was getting, stressed for long periods of time. So I'm here today, Sophie. We talked about courage and fear a couple of weeks ago on our live call. And you said on that call, fear and anxiety are different. So we talked about fear, and today I'd love to talk to you about anxiety. So first and foremost, could you explain the difference between anxiety and fear?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the most useful thing to know, by the way, because people are frightened of fear. No, you don't need to be frightened of fear. Fear can be your best friend. It's weird, right, to say that, but if you make the difference between fear and anxiety, you'll get it. So fear is a mechanism that actually helps all species in the universe. If you are frightened, that means your physical life is in danger, and you will automatically react, either attack, run away. You'll have hormones being produced by your body, blood going to your brain, you'll think very clearly, you'll see things very clearly, right? So, and it might save your physical life. So fear is your friend. Otherwise, we would go and pat a rhinoceros on the head, on the horn,
Definitely,
that would be bad news, right? Okay. Now, and fear is in the moment present and normally doesn't last that long, right? It's a very limited time where your body has to react in fear, and then everything comes down. The adrenaline goes down. Everything.
So your body's like designed to go into fear to protect you, and then for that to melt.
To protect others. I remember my dad, for those of you that know, passed away 2 years ago. And while I was with him at the end of his life, my dad was a very tall man, very strong man, like a really tall, strong man, even when he was sick. And he fell off his chair onto the marble floor on his bottom, right? On his behind. So he sat there, but there was no way he could move or get up and whatever. And it was amazing. I picked him up. Wow. Where did he get that strength from? I have no idea. I put one hand underneath his knees, one underneath his back. I picked him up and put him on his chair.
Wow.
Right? Now, then it took about 45 minutes. I had such a rush of adrenaline, I suppose, that for 45 minutes, I was shaking and feeling faint and like I was on a drug, right? Okay.
Totally.
So that's, yeah, right? So that's really great. That was great. I remember my little mother, who was so tiny and so fragile, She looked like, I was shocked. Say a word. Of stories like that, right? Of a mother that sees a child in a car and leaves the car. Okay.
Oh, yes. Oh my God.
Okay.
Amazing.
All that is thanks to fear. Okay. Okay. So fear is in the present moment limited. Anxiety is no presence whatsoever. Anxiety is from the past to the future, imagining what might happen in the future based on your past experience, on your imagination, and on your thought. There is nobody home. Now, here's the problem with anxiety, is that you produce the same kind of hormone than when you are in fear, but
Right.
over a long period of time. So then you overeat, you don't sleep, you drink, you do drugs, you do whatever to stop this noise in your head, this bad movie, this horror movie. Nothing does it. And you get exhausted. You can even go all the way to getting sick or depressed, and then get on medication, and then that's it, right? Okay, so do you get the difference between anxiety and fear?
Yes.
So if you're in anxiety, you need to use your intellect. You need to remember the difference between anxiety and fear.
Yeah, it's interesting because in those moments, your mind so convinces you. Like, one thing that got me this weekend was he's very terrified of fireworks. I happened to think ahead and bring he has like an anxiety medicine for things like fireworks. So I gave it to him. And because I was already anxious, the thoughts started doing like, what if I gave him too much medication? What if I made him sick? And it was unbelievable because because I was already on the train, it was like, the train was going, and I've transferred to another train, and that train's going.
So who started, your dog or you, being anxious?
That's a great question.
Because you fed each other.
We fed each other for sure. I think it was
like parents feed their children. If you see little children that are anxious or whatever, or unhappy or whatever, you can look at the parents. A dog is like a child, right? Yes. It is like a sponge.
Totally.
So if you were anxious, to see him anxious, you just kind of fed each other.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Okay, that's interesting. So once you're in that state of anxiety, Sophie, because as you said, it's like an ongoing state as opposed to fear, which is quick and in the moment. You do have those you feel the shift in your body. You have the things happening in your body. So how do you get out of that anxious state once you're already in it?
All right. So the first thing is a declaration, right? You need to ask yourself the question, I'm frightened. Is there an immediate danger to my physical survival? If the answer is no, then you say, okay, I'm anxious. You need to declare it. You need to interrupt your brain pattern. So how you interrupt it is saying, that is anxiety. I have anxiety. You create the gap. Anxiety has me. Okay, so that's the first thing, declaration.
Okay, yep.
Okay? And then you use your intellect, right? Breathing, you need to breathe. And so, for example, people have a lot of anxiety about not having enough money to live, right? To have a house and all that. So when you have an anxiety about money, it's a very big anxiety for people. Sit down, write down on a piece of paper everything you own, everything you have, and what you need to leave, and just use your intellect to see that right now, in the present moment, you're not going to starve because it doesn't happen in 2 seconds. You're not going to be in the street. You're not going to go to jail right now. And is there any action you need to take to prevent that? Or is it a total story? Okay.
Yep.
So that's the first thing. Second thing, Abby, another tips, because literally you need tips for anxiety, right? Another tip is you look at your dog being that anxious about firework, right? What is the worst that can happen?
Yeah. I mean, like just about the fireworks, nothing like him being traumatized.
No,
And
traumatized, that's a story. A dog doesn't get traumatized. I
Yeah.
mean, a dog does get traumatized, but it's too much of a medical human term,
right.
right?
Yeah.
He's scared.
He's
Every
scared.
time he's scared. So he has fear.
Yep.
You have anxiety.
Ah, great point. That's a great point. Right. If you didn't understand those big sounds, you would maybe also have a lot of fear and trying to protect yourself.
Anxiety, you need to talk to yourself to have anxiety.
Yeah. That's a great point.
Do you think animals have anxiety? Or do you think they have fear? I mean, when you bring your dog to the vet, he's frightened in the moment. When you bring him back home, does your dog go in a corner saying, oh my God, she's going to bring me back in a month?
No, you're right. They just chill as soon as they get back home. Totally fine.
Yeah.
That's a
Right?
great point. Yeah.
Right. Never heard a dog say, get me a therapist. My life is ruined.
I need to do Sophie's course.
So he has fear, right? He hears the noise of the firework and he has fear. You, on the other hand, have anxiety because you are imagining what might happen to him, called trauma.
Right. No, it's true. That's right. Because one of the anxieties is like, oh my God, if he got out when this was happening, he'd run and hide, but that's not real. It's not happening at all.
It didn't happen.
It didn't. Yeah, no, it's never happened. It's just a fear that it could happen. Yeah.
So what is the worst that could happen to Coco? What's the worst that happened to him? I mean, you were there with firework. What happened to him?
Nothing. The worst peak of my fear was, oh no, now I gave him medication and I gave him too much.
Anxiety.
So the anxiety.
I'm not asking about you. I'm asking about Coco.
Oh, what
is the worst that happened to him?
Oh, he was shaking and hiding behind the table.
Okay. Well,
when you say it like that, it sounds really silly.
on the other hand, was a wreck, everybody.
Oh, how embarrassing. Oh my goodness. That's
yeah.
right.
And then they was talking to somebody. If those tips don't work, talk to somebody.
Yeah.
So that, because anxiety has you not think properly. It's like you're not absolutely not related to reality whatsoever. You have funnel vision. You are in your anxiety. You actually have no relationship to reality whatsoever. I remember my sister calling me at night when she had a baby, saying, I am frightened I will die and my baby will be alone. So finally, after like 10 nights in a row at 2:00 in the morning, I said, okay, I get it. Okay, so I'll tell you what. Just before you die, call me and I'll come and get him so he won't be alone. Does that relieve your anxiety? She thought I was so cold. I said, well, if you're anxious about him being alone, I give you my word, he will not be.
Yeah.
And you will be dead anyway, so you won't mind.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll take over. Right?
Yeah.
So you need to talk to somebody if it doesn't go away. Because there is sometimes where your anxiety grab you and it's like,
Yes.
like
Yeah, that was my experience this weekend.
Yeah.
I could feel that it had me, but it was tough to get lodged from it.
Yeah. Yes. it's a function of not being present.
Yeah, that's it. What do
Yeah.
you think, Sophie, is happening in, this is just like a question, because I noticed that I didn't feel so related to my whole self. Like I didn't feel related to my soul. I didn't feel that feeling of connection, you know, that you feel with yourself when you're aligned and you feel good. That felt so far away in those moments. So you're saying that disconnection, or that feeling of disconnection, is from not being related to the present.
I think the only reality there is right now. The rest is an illusion. If you think the illusion is real, you live in a cuckoo world.
Totally.
And it's really strange, right?
Yeah, totally.
The only, if you want to know what is real, is what is happening right now. That's the only reality there is.
Okay. Yeah, I totally get that.
Live your life that way, Abby. It's really fun because, you know, I'm looking for a house, right? So I have a limited budget given the price on this island, which are driving me crazy.
Yes.
Okay, but
Very much.
you know, so I made an offer on a house which was much lower than the price they asked, and they declined. So I don't go into anxiety about I will never be able to afford a house and all that. No, I said no. You know, when you're present, she said, okay, well, obviously that wasn't the right one, but I wonder what is the next one coming. So life becomes fun. Because you don't know what will come, right? You have no idea. So then you live with curiosity and imagination and desire. It's fun. It's aliveness.
I love that. That's really beautiful. Yeah, that definitely disappears in the state of anxiety. That curiosity and fun of life absolutely disappears.
Oh, you're like in cuckoo land.
Yeah, totally.
You know, I mean, I call you if I ever am at the effect of anxiety. You just call somebody and you just say, okay, I am so anxious, I'm not going to make sense. And you have to play the game, saying, here is what I'm imagining. As I'm going to finish my life with no money, I won't have enough to eat, I'll live under a bridge in the street, and I'll be dirty, and I'll die all alone. Okay, you've got to say it until you get that scenario is a possible scenario, maybe, but, you know, not probable and not, I mean, I did that once with one of my friends when I was short of money, and she said, okay, I won't let you. And I got it. I said, oh, really? She said, yeah, I won't let you. You'll come in with me if that arrives. And she has no anxiety about that. She said, I have no problem with that. So suddenly I've never had an anxiety about ending up in the street again, ever again.
Oh.
So you, someone that, you know, I love my animals, right? I love my dogs. I am crazy about my animals. And from time to time, they have something.
Yeah.
Right? And suddenly I said, whoa, well, what will happen? Right? And I just let go. I said, well, the worst that will happen is that they will die.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm just no denial. I said, I won't let them suffer, that I know. And if they die, they die. That is part of life.
Wow. Well, I get how powerful that is.
I mean, ultimately, that's always what is at the end of anxiety.
That's
right?
at the end. It's always, that's what's always at the end.
Yeah, so play the game and go all the way to the end. Okay, I'll die all alone, dirty, under a bridge. Okay, and I'll die. Okay, I got it. Okay, you know.
Wow.
Yep.
You know, I just wanted to say that I think that what you're saying is so powerful in terms of getting related to death and like the reality of that experience on earth. Cause I have there's a lot of stories of anxiety in my family, and my youngest brother struggles a lot with anxiety, and his main anxiety is about his health, right? He always thinks he's going to die. And it was really powerful to hear you say that, because ultimately, if you're related to that authentic awareness that we will all die, and that is the quote unquote worst that can happen, but maybe it's actually not so bad.
And it will happen.
And it will happen for sure at some point.
You can be certain about.
It's kind of amazing what a lack, I think, of education there is generally in our culture about death. That's just it was powerful to hear you say that.
So does that help with your anxiety?
Very much. I'm totally clear.
Because you want to see if we have any questions.
I was going to check, because this is something that I think a lot of people definitely struggle with. Oh, Eric, thank you for watching from Uganda. That's so wonderful. We love our global community here. Okay, I don't think we have any questions, but as always, everyone, if you're watching the replay, questions can go underneath.
Yeah, and everybody share, right? Our presence on social media is really expanding. Yes. And I wanted to say, oh yes, the last thing about anxiety, right? Will you please not blame yourself for it? It is the school of being human, right? So don't blame yourself, don't hide it. Just use your intellect. All right, everybody, we love you. Happy 4th of July for all of our American friends. And if you have dogs, beware of the fireworks.
Yes. Don't get anxious about their fear.
Your anxiety is yours. Don't put it on your dog.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you, darling.
Bye, everyone.